In today's program, I suppose we could say, we're going to be actually doing a bit of hands-on, and I can show you a couple of things to hopefully start you thinking about how this AI wave is going to change things. Now, let's start with the good old-fashioned website, because we live in a digital world, and I know we live in a digital world because about 25 years ago I was a web designer right at the beginning of the internet. It was very exciting times. So the big difference back then was everyone transitioned into digital. I mean, mobile phones weren't around. And fax machines, well, there you go, recently invented. No, mobile phones were around, I'm not that old. So basically, back then, very exciting times. I'll just, I can show you here a little bit of a thing. I'll start my recording here and I'll jump backwards and forwards a little bit. So basically, 20 odd years ago, when websites first started to appear on the scene, I was a website designer. And so I, sort of cut my teeth on a lot of things. So if we have a look at what we're doing here, we'll go into this side here, and we should pop up, and here we are. Okay, very good. All right, so just to give you a bit of an idea of what I used to do, way back in the day, had the accommodation site for the Sydney Olympics. I registered Sydney2000Australia.com, which was quite interesting at the time because it was the postcode of Sydney. The Olympic Committee weren't overly happy, but we had a really good website that basically just put A in touch with B. So during the time, I was working on some fairly advanced websites for some fairly high-profile clients, Sydney by Sale, Cronulla RSL, a few others. So I have got a history of web design, so I have seen this thing before, and it was very, very exciting being there. But the whole AI thing, bearing in mind I've actually worked in the IoT industry now for about 5 years, and also communications. So I've got a fairly good understanding about what major things are happening, and this is major, and I keep reiterating how major it is. But no point freaking out about it. We've got to work out how we're going to make this part of our daily life. So today's video is basically to step through something that I do and just to try and give people an idea of how this works. Now, let's make the assumption that everybody has got a website in business. Most people these days will pretty well have one. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, the whole bit. We're all pretty well part of the digital world. Now, the difference is the way we do things. And if we go back to Pi, my AI assistant, who I may talk to later, we can see straight away, and even with Multion, that spoken language and the way we ask questions is the new way we're going to communicate with machines. And this is definitely the way we're going to retrieve information. So hopefully today's video I can run you through some of the things that I've done just to try and explain you as the end user, as the person who now has to decide, well, how is AI going to impact my life? I've got a business, or I'm just an individual, I don't really care, it's a bit interesting. So that's today's plan. So what I'll do is I will go through and we'll start with a really simple one. Okay, so if we go to a fairly simple AI assistant. So we'll just open up here. Okay, so on this AI assistant, basically, g'day, I'm Wayne, AI, the British carpet company AI assistant. How can I help you today? So with an assistant like this, which can be attached to your website, basically I can type in, what are your opening hours? And basically, it will go and search the knowledge base. So every AI assistant that we use, we actually load it up with the knowledge of that company. So the information is pertinent to the company where the AI assistant is. So it basically says our opening hours at Tarrant Point are Monday, Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. So that information's come from a knowledge base. It hasn't actually come from outside. But let's say we asked a more abstract question. What type of carpet would you recommend? Oh, and I've spelled it wrong, but that's okay. Let's just see if the AI is smart enough to pick up my spelling mistake, which happens all the time. Okay, based on your preferences and needs, I would recommend considering a luxury woven carpet. Luxury woven carpets have a timeless appearance, and then at the end it basically says, contact Wayne. Now, the luxury carpet bit, some of that is in the knowledge base, some of it is actually the knowledge that the AI has gone and gathered and then restructured to answer. Now, that is probably the most simple AI assistant. Basically, we have a knowledge base. It doesn't really go outside that knowledge base, but it will give an answer like a human, right? Now, think of what I was saying in the previous video about AI agents. So that's a general AI, right? So if we use, say, ChatGPT, we can go and it will come back with an answer. It will generalize the answer based on what it decides to answer with. Now, when we're using an AI assistant in a website, like your website for your business or whatever, we basically need to tell it what you want to prioritize in what's being said. So you can have a general agent. So this one's what we call a general agent. So it's not a specific agent that is going to address something. Now, if we look over here at the AI cleaning assistant, which is basically being trained to address issues of stains on carpet and so forth. Open up now in a second. Here we go. I'm the British Carpet Company AI cleaning assistant. Now, this particular assistant, if I ask, well, there's some red wine, how do I clean red wine stains off my carpets? Okay, now because this particular one has been trained on a very, very, very small knowledge base, but the answer is coming basically from its knowledge. So the AI has actually gone back and it's basically found the answer, and it's a fairly large answer there, acts quickly, blah, blah. So for the end user, this is great. But if I, for example, ask, what are your opening hours? It apologizes because as a language model, it doesn't have access to real-time location specific. So it's actually not going and searching the internet and finding out when British Carpets is open and so forth. So there are two different AI assistants. One is trained on a particular knowledge base and the other is on a very limited knowledge base, but a specific AI for cleaning carpet, an instruction of cleaning carpet. So hopefully that will start you thinking about different ways that you can train different agents. Now, bear with me on this one. So another way or a workflow of how an agent can work, a more advanced agent, if we go in and we have a look at... Okay, so we've come to the AI assistant. Now, this AI assistant is far more complicated than the previous one, and I'll go through the workflow now. But the functionality ultimately is very similar insofar as you ask it a question. So the question I might ask her, why are AI assistants important to business? Okay, so why are AI assistants important to business? So what the AI assistant's doing now, it's going into OpenAI through AI Assistant, it's using ChatGPT 4 preview, and it's coming back with an answer, and that answer will be based on whatever's in the knowledge base plus whatever the AI comes up to give you a comprehensive answer. Now, we'll get into how we train the AI assistants with prompting and so forth, but this is really just a workflow, just to take you through how the process actually goes. So it took a little bit of time because it's a fairly comprehensive answer. In fact, it's a very comprehensive answer. AI assistants are becoming increasingly important to businesses for a variety of strategic reasons, and it lists 1, 2, 3 round-the-clock engagement. Now, that information is not straight out of the knowledge base. That has actually just been gathered by the AI to answer the question. By adopting AI assistants like those developed by Latest Online Info, so you can highlight the company, basically it then asks, would you like further information? Now, what happens when this chat is actually engaged? So the first thing is the end user will receive an email of the transcript. So if we have a look at that second one there, we can see why are AI assistants important to business. AI assistants are becoming increasingly important, blah, blah, blah. So basically it covers when it was sent and what the reply was. So for the end user who's actually running the website, they'll get an email to say that someone's used their AI assistant. Now that is pretty cool because the person on the web has actually got their answer. Now, soon you'll be able to talk as I talk to Pi, but let's just keep it to typing at the moment, just so we can follow the workflow. So that's that way that works. Now, if we follow the workflow and we go back to the beginning, to be able to get that AI assistant to be able to do what it needs to do, firstly we need to have some code. So I have written the code, and the code basically is the nuts and bolts of what's happening. So the code itself is following the prompt, and now this is a prompt here. So if we look at the prompt, it says the assistant is an information and sales assistant for latest online info AI, providing engaging information about latest online info, AI assistance and services. The assistant is professional, engaging and excited. Well, the main information is to come from the LOI knowledge base. So we've told the AI that we want the most of the information to come from the knowledge document. And at the end of the answer, we would like to ask if, we would like to collect some details. So you don't need contact forms anymore and things like that. People don't need to put in their name in a particular field or anything like that. Basically, the AI is smart enough. If they just put in, my name's Mary, I live at 47 Smith Street in Smithtown, and it will find basically that information with a phone number, work it out, and it will put it into the answer to say that we'll contact you. So it starts with the code. This code runs, and I'm using Replit. And the next section is, once the assistant is actually called, and the assistant, there's a couple of different programs we can use, but I'm using VoiceFlow. So if we look here, this is where the assistant is created. So this code sits up in your header of your HTML, and it basically enables this assistant to be on the site. So that is how the assistant gets onto your website, through this code. Once the assistant's been actioned, so it's through VoiceFlow that actually is hosting, in effect, the AI assistant and giving it the ability to appear on your website with this code on your website. Then what happens, it basically enacts the code here. Now, as part of that, if we actually have a look in the code, and we don't have to get too technical here, but basically we want that information, that transcript of what people have actually entered and what the AI assistant has answered with, to be recorded. So we've got an email, but there's also a database, right? So if we have a look at the database here, right, you can see it right there. What do you do, and why do AI assistants important to business? Okay, so it's writing to a database, so we have a record of it on the database. We basically then, if we actually have a look at the nuts and bolts, we've created an AI assistant here, which is actually sitting up in OpenAI, and we use an OpenAI API key, and we enact the assistant, and it's using GPT-4. And basically the knowledge base is sitting up on ChatGPT, because I find it actually gets the fastest results. Now, GPT is a little bit slow when it comes to giving big replies for the number of tokens that it uses, but in effect, I think it's better sitting up on the OpenAI assistant. So that's where your knowledge base is uploaded. So then we basically have it backed up in a database. And as an extra feature, I've actually also got an interface here, which I can actually see the analytics of the AI assistant, and also another copy of the transcript, so you can actually see the transcript of what's been done. So if we have a look at that one, we go to the end here, it says more than there's all time. So if we just pop down to the last one that we got, let's see here that what AI assistant is important to business. All right, so we've got the analytics and the transcript. So it's a complete workflow from where the assistant is actually originally asked the question to the end user of the website that has all sorts of statistics on it. So you can delve deeply, and to the point where you can even analyze what type of answer it is. Is it a positive answer? Is it a negative answer? So the way that we actually engage with the machine and using assistants, there are all different types of assistants. So the other important one is, now hopefully you've got a little bit of an idea of the complexity of it. If we go to another site here, we can see that this is multilingual. So this opens up another field, because a website, this website I can change to different languages, no problem, but when you're answering, you can answer in two. So if I ask this one here, what kind of products can you supply for my smart home. Okay, let's pick that off here. Now, what will happen is it will go back and get the answer, but not only will it get the answer, it will give the answer to us in both Thai and English, which means you can actually translate. So the AI is smart enough to be able to reproduce different languages, which means you can target, if you've got a particular client base who might not speak your native language, you can actually use an AI assistant to solve that problem as well. So this one will actually create an answer in 2 languages, and we can see there, if we go to Build Track Thailand, which is basically written in English and Thai, and then it's asked, would you like to leave further information? So there's a lot that you can do using an AI assistant. Okay, so now we're back after that little adventure. Hopefully it makes some sense, and the whole idea really of this video is just to show the way that AI now is a communication tool that will change the way we interact with machines, and particularly, say, a basic website. So I can see it transitioning to, instead of going to a site and clicking on boxes and asking questions and trying to decipher what's going on, you'll be able to basically open up and just say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you do this? Can you give me this information? And it will engage the audience, and basically it will make life a lot easier. And this is where we're sort of heading now. So these AI assistants are very important. Just about everyone on the website will basically need to have one. They work 24/7. They answer the questions. They can, depending on how much information you want to do, how much you want to workflow through, there's lots of different things we can do. But hopefully this video is just giving you a bit of an idea on opening your mind about how AI and AI assistants can assist you, particularly if you've got a website and you want to be able to engage your audience. So I'll sign off for now. Until next time, Sawadee Cup and goodbye.